So I want to just say welcome to anybody who may be here for the first time, and I want to share with you that in Unity, we believe that there is only one presence and one power, and that is God the good, all-powerful, everywhere present, all knowledge, and absolute purity of love, and that we have come forth as expressions of God. I'm not all that God is, but you know what? All that I am is God. And we've been gifted with this beautiful thinking mind, and with this thinking mind, we are co-creators with the divine. And we co-create through what it is that we think about on a regular basis. And one of the things to become aware of is what you're thinking about when you're not thinking about what it is that you're thinking about. And so it's our consciousness that we're co-creating, and we're co-creating through affirmative prayer. And we're really just being with the divine through meditation. And through all that, we take action. We know that there's a point at which it is important for us to step forth in action. So that's what Unity is about. Now, at the beginning of the year, we started by integrating one of the 12 powers, as taught by our co-founder, Charles Fillmore. And Charles Fillmore related each of the 12 powers to a disciple that he felt most represented that. And then there was also a placement in the body. And so the powers are love, imagination, power, judgment or discernment, understanding, zeal, elimination, faith, life, order, will, and strength. And so we talked the first month about love, and that love is the most important thing because God is love. And that's the foundation of our spiritual well-being, is knowing that, and knowing that, our greatest expression, who we have come here to be, is that love. And then we talked about faith and having, I think we talked about wisdom. No, we talked about faith. And that faith is knowing that even when we can't see things happening in the visible world around us, that when we continue to focus and to know that greater truth, that in the invisible realm, things are happening. And faith, that all things truly are working together for good, even when sometimes it doesn't look like that. And then we talked about wisdom. And we talked about wisdom. It's important that there's wisdom with love, and there's love with wisdom, because love without wisdom can get us into some interesting situations, and wisdom without love can be very sterile. And so wisdom is our power of discernment. And then we talked about understanding, and understanding that God stands under everything, and moving to that place where we just open ourselves up to the Holy Spirit, to the divine, to guide us from a bigger, greater spiritual perspective of understanding when we cannot understand what things are happening in our lives, or even things that are happening in the world around us. And so today we are talking about the power of elimination, renunciation. And this is represented by the disciple Thaddeus, also known as James Alphaeus. And the placement in the body is in the abdominal region, in our colon and our urinary tract system, which actually makes sense, doesn't it? So elimination is our ability to remove, to deny, to release, to denounce, and to let go. The scripture in Colossians 3:9-10 says, "You have put off the old nature with its practices and have put on the new nature, which is being renewed in knowledge after the image of its creator." And you notice that it first says you have put off the old nature. You have released it. You have let it go. You have denounced it. You have denied it, the old nature. And that's such an important part of our process, is to be able to fully move into this. Now, when we talk about letting go, there's so many things that we could talk about in letting go. We can talk about letting go of frustrations, of anxiety, of busyness, of past relationships, and even current relationships, maybe current situations. There's just such a vast, and one of the things that came up today for me was letting go of ego, letting go of our ego thoughts, where we have to be right, or we think we're right, and we have to let people know that we're right. So letting go of ego. And so I love this. It's the 10 to Zen. And it says, number 1, let go of comparing. 2, let go of competing. 3, let go of judgments. 4, let go of anger. 5, let go of regrets. 6, let go of worrying. 7, let go of blame. 8, let go of guilt. 9, let go of fear. And 10, have a proper belly laugh at least once a day, especially if it's about your inability to let go of any or all of the above. Because what I really want to encourage all of us, and I say this a lot, is to not beat ourselves up. It's important to hold ourselves accountable, but that's very different than beating ourselves up. And so give ourselves a break and be gentle with ourselves through this process. So the first thing that I want to talk about is releasing the past. And so I want to reference this with Genesis 19, 15 through 17 and 26, and I think most of us will recognize this. When morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city." But he lingered. So the men seized him and his wife and his 2 daughters by the hand, the Lord being merciful to him. And they brought him forth. They said, "Flee for your life. Do not look back or stop anywhere in the valley. Flee to the hills, lest you be consumed." But Lot's wife looked back behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Now, I'm of the mindset that these things didn't necessarily actually happen, but that the authors were trying to get us to understand something. You know, in Unity, we do not believe in punishment, sin per se. We recognize that sometimes we miss the mark and we may have consequences because of that in our lives, but that grace always prevails. Grace always prevails. Grace is always moving in there for us. But I love the idea, just in our consciousness, that when Lot's wife looked behind, that she could not move forward because she was staying stuck in the past. And, you know, there's many ways that we can stay stuck in the past. You know, sometimes we can look at the past and say, wow, those were the good old days. As if these aren't good days. As if making what was behind us is better than anything that we can experience in the present moment or in our future moments. I think it's really good to celebrate the past, but I would say let's be aware of how we can get stuck there. And then we can also get stuck in the past through blaming, through unforgiveness, through resentment, and not just of other people, my friends, but of ourselves. We can get so stuck in the past that we cannot be fully present in this moment. And here's what I'm going to tell you, that when any of these things are in our consciousness, we are not being the greatest expression of love that we have come here to be, because in the purity of love, none of that can exist. None of it. We would only see each person as the beauty that they have come here to be. Each situation is exactly what it is that our souls needed to move forward, and ourselves, you know, as just the magnificent divine being. None of that can survive in the realm of love. So let's talk for a moment then about how, you know, releasing anger, resentment, unforgiveness. And there are 2 scriptures that I want to share here. One is Mark 11:25. And whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father also, who is in heaven, may forgive you your trespasses. Again, it's not this God outside of us that is forgiving us, but it's the recognition that the divine, the Holy Spirit, God, cannot move fully through us when we have these blocks here. And so when we forgive, when we release, when we let go, whoosh, you know, that pure energy is moving through us. And the second scripture is Matthew 18:21 and 22. Then came Peter to him and said, "Lord, how oft shall I forgive my brother who sins against me? Till 7 times? And Jesus said unto him, I say not until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. And it's, you know, for me, what that is the recognition is that for most of us, letting go of resentment, guilt, blame for ourselves or for others is not going to be an overnight process. But that one of Jesus's main messages, my friends, was about forgiveness, was about that place of love, you know, just loving, but that we may have to go through this process over and over and over again. But each time that we open ourselves up to releasing those things, we get closer to it. We let more of it go. And I really want to encourage us, you know, to really be looking at, is there anything in my past that I am blaming for my present day experience? Is there a person or people? Is there a situation? Is there something that I feel that I've done that I am blaming for? That's why my life is the way that it is today. That's why I am like I am. That's why I have a problem with anger, and you just have to get over it. Because in the realm of love, again, that cannot possibly exist. And if you're in that place, here's what I'm going to tell you. You're a victim. And there is no power in being a victim. There's no power there. It is only when we are willing to open ourselves up. And in these times, for me, it's those times when I want to forgive, or I want to release and let go. But it's those times that I go to God. It's those times that I stop and I just say, God, help me to release and let go. Help me to see the beauty of this person, or the beauty of this event, or the beauty of myself. And it's not that we're going to, quote unquote, always see the beauty, but it's moving to that higher place is what I would say, that we recognize. And that's where faith comes in, isn't it? That there is a greater picture, and that all things are truly working together for the greater good. Now, a lot of times when we're in this process of letting go, it's pretty painful. Sometimes we just want to hold on to our stuff, don't we? And we don't want to let it go, even if it's disempowering us, even if it is keeping us from moving forward in our lives and of really experiencing the life that we truly want to experience. And also, a lot of times in our present moment experiences, I know that in my life that I stayed in a relationship long after I knew the relationship was done. Anybody ever do that? and we have to be gentle and compassionate with ourselves about that. But for me, what I recognize now is that, because this was pretty early on in my unity understanding, is that today I wouldn't stay as long in something, whether it's a work relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's family relationship, business relationship, whatever it is. And at the same time, I want to acknowledge that it's pretty painful to let go of some of those things, isn't it? We close the door, we open it. We close it, we open it again. We close it, we open it again, because it's painful. So I want to share with you the story of the eagle, and I am going to be reading this out loud so our internet listeners can hear it. This is a story of an eagle. It can live up to 70 years. But to reach this age, the eagle must make a hard decision. In its 40th year, its long and flexible talons can no longer grab prey, which serves as food. Its long and sharp beak becomes bent. The feathers become old, thick, and heavy. The thick and heavy feathers stick to its chest and makes it difficult to fly. Then the eagle is left with only two options: die or go through a painful process of change. The process requires that the eagle fly to a mountaintop and sit on its nest. Then the eagle knocks its beak against a rock until it plucks it out. Then the eagle will wait for a new beak to grow back, and then it will pluck out its talons. When its new talons grow back, the eagle starts plucking its old age feathers. Change that is worth sustaining the pain. And after this, the eagle takes its famous flight of rebirth and lives for 30 more years. Why is change needed? To survive and live. We too have to start the change process. Unlike the eagle, we also have to pluck our unpleasant memories, negative habits, and fixed mindset. Only freed from the past burdens can we take advantage of the present. In order to take a new journey ahead in the future, let go of your negative, old, limiting beliefs. Open up your fixed mindset and let yourself fly again like an eagle. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. And so it's recognizing that, dang, sometimes it hurts to let go. I mean, think of the pain that this eagle goes through. But in that letting go, in that just natural instinct of the eagle to let go, it is rebirth. And that is the same with us. Then when we step out and we let go, and let go, I think one of our biggest things is to let go of our limiting thoughts and ideas. And so how do we do this? Well, one of the ways that we do this, my friends, is through what Charles Fillmore calls denials. And denials are an important part of our spiritual journey. If we were going to build a house, we would go and we would get everything off the ground in order to create a good solid foundation. If we were going to create a garden, we would let go of everything that was currently there in order to create the best garden. Now, a denial is not that we deny that something is. And I think this is so important for us because when if you have an illness or you're having a challenge financially, it's important to be able to look at this and say, oh, look, this is happening. What can I currently do about this? But the denial says, you have no power over me. Because there's only one presence and one power, and that is God, and it's all good. And I am a co-creator with the divine. And so get behind me. I love one of the girls in our Friday night women's group was telling me, that she loves this. And she often loves, because I've talked about where Jesus is like, Satan, get behind me. You have no power over me. And to do it with power and authority, because he didn't do that wimpily. That's probably not a word, but he did it with power and authority. And so she said she loves to do that she'll just things will come up and she'll be like, get behind me. You have no power over me. And I just love that because that's what a denial is. It's just saying you have no true power over me. So get behind me, because if you're behind me, I can't see you. And I'm not going to give any attention to you. I love Charles Fillmore when he talks about evil. He said evil is like a parasite. And the parasite can only stay alive as long as the parent is feeding it. And he relates that to us, that when we are missing the mark and we're focused on something so much, we're keeping it alive. But when we shift and we deny it, we get it behind us, and we start focusing on something else, then this is going to go away. It has to. So I want to share something with you that I've shared before, and I think it's relevant to today as well. And this is a way for us to look at how we can let go of those thoughts, how we can let go of those things that, we've been telling ourselves over and over again, even if sometimes we haven't realized we've been doing it. This is from Bob Newhart. And yes, many of you have heard this. So Bob Newhart is a psychologist, and this girl, Catherine, goes in to see him, and he has her sit down in front of him, and he says, some housekeeping things, we don't take insurance, only take cash or check, and so it's going to be $5 for the first 5 minutes, and I don't take change, and she's like, that really sounds almost too good to be true. And he said, I guarantee you that we will get any issues you have resolved within that 5 minutes. So he says, okay, go. And she's like, okay, well, I'm afraid of being buried alive in a box. I just start thinking about it, and I begin to panic. I can't do anything because of this. And he said, has anyone ever tried to bury you alive in a box? And she said, no, but truly thinking about it does make my life just awful. I can't go through tunnels. I can't get in elevators. I can't be in a house or anything boxy. So what you're saying is that you're claustrophobic. Well, yes. Okay, Catherine, I'm going to say 2 words to you right now. And what I want you to do is I want you to take these 2 words and I want you to take them out and to incorporate them into your daily life. And she said, oh, okay. Do I need to write them down? And he said, you can, but it's only 2 words, Catherine. And so she said, okay. And he said, are you ready? And she said, yes. And he goes, stop it. Stop it. And she says, I'm sorry? Stop it. Stop it? Yes. S-T-O-P, new word, I-T. So what are you saying? You know, Catherine, every time somebody sits where you're sitting, and I say that, they ask, what do I mean? I mean, this is not Yiddish, Catherine. It's English. Just stop it. So I should just stop it? Well, you don't want to go through life being afraid of being buried in a box. I mean, that is just frightening, isn't it? And she said, well, yeah, then stop it. I can't. It's been with me since childhood. No. We're not going to go there. Just stop it. Well, in a past life, I found out that no. We're definitely not going to go there. Well, but, so I should just stop being afraid of being buried alive in a box? Yes. Good job. You got it. Well, that's only taken up 3 minutes of our time. And so she's, she gets out a 5, and she said, I only have a 5. And he said, well, I don't get change. And so she says, well, I guess I'll take the rest of the time. And he said, okay, go. So I go on these eating binges and then don't eat for days. Stop it. Are you some kind of a nut? Don't do that. But I'm compelled to. My mom used to call me fatty. No, we don't go there. But I've been having these dreams. No, we don't go there. But my horoscope, no, we definitely don't go there. Just stop it. What else? Well, I have self-destructive relationships with men. Stop it. You do want to be with a man, don't you? Yes. Well, stop it. Okay, well, I wash my hands all the time. Well, I wash my hands all the time. I mean, there's a lot of germs out there. Don't worry about that one. Well, I'm afraid to drive. Stop it. How are you going to get around? Get in the car and drive, you kook. And she says, you stop it. Stop it. Well, what's the problem, Catherine? I don't like this. I don't like this therapy at all. You just keep telling me to stop it. And you don't like that? No, I don't. Well, then let me give you 10 words that I think will clear everything up for you. And you want to get a pad and a pencil and get ready for this. And she gets it out and she says, okay, I'm ready. Okay, here are the 10 words. Stop it, or I am going to bury you alive in a box. So, the first time years ago that I saw this, I cracked up. It was so funny. But then it was like this little aha came, and I'm like, oh, as quirky as this is, it has a lot of truth in it. And that we can tell ourselves to stop it. That when these thoughts and ideas come up, when we find ourselves doing what we've always done that hasn't been working for us, that we have the power, in fact, we were given the power to say, stop it. Stop it. It's so incredibly powerful. Now, here's what I'm going to say. Let me just say this. Please don't say this to anybody else. Don't go to somebody else when you see them doing something and just go, stop it. Just stop it. Because they're not going to know what you're talking about. Also, most people don't want to be told that. But this is for us individually to use for ourselves unless you decide you want to use it with somebody else. But it's so important that we recognize that we have this power and that we can command our minds to stop it. And it's really important, the biggest thing, and we talk about this all the time, is self-awareness. Again, to be, conscious of what you're thinking about when you're not thinking about what it is that you're thinking about. And, recently I had an aha for myself where, even though my body is so much better, I still have days of exhaustion. I still have pain. And on those days, where does my focus go? It goes to what's not working. And so I started to have that realization of like, oh my gosh, I'm so focused here that I need to just stop it. And then we turn towards what it is that we desire. And what it is that we desire isn't quote unquote so much of an outcome. It's the experience. It's, when I think about, greater health, I think of freedom and I think of joy. And those are the things that I think of. And so I'm not having to think about how to get better. I'm just thinking about a very powerful spiritual idea. So elimination, my friends, elimination is our ability to say no. And it's important that not only that we don't just focus on the power of elimination, but that we use these all together and we start to activate these in our experience. So I want to close today with this affirmation. So if we will say this together, and I'm going to invite you to really let this be something that sinks into your heart and your soul. Together, I release anything and everything that no longer serves my unfolding good and my most authentic life. And then with power, I'm going to invite you to say, I let it go and let God. Together, I let it go and let God. And so it is, and namaste.